Good evening, everyone. It's been quite a long day for everyone, I guess, and I thank everyone that they're still present for the last presentation over here. We are talking, have been asked to talk about the market trend of self-adhesive materials or self-adhesive labels in India and how it is going to move forward in the coming years. So I have tried to create a short presentation on that. Self-adhesive labels, as you know, it adds value to the whole product in terms of how it is labeled as compared to a wet glue label. It has a clean room environment, and we can have barcodes attached to it for a lot of applications. It's primarily used for promotion and decoration. Food segment, beverages, personal care, and pharmaceutical. Now in India, as we know, a lot of us prefer the home-cooked food, not going much for packaged food as yet, leading a healthy life. Beverages are still not as much as we would want them to be, and especially in the self-adhesive business, it's not self-adhesive labels as much as they should be. Personal care, a lot of the personal care goods that especially the ladies would use are imported, so the self-adhesive labels for India till now does not get much volume from this business. Pharmaceutical is something that has been doing quite well. A reason for that is the clean room environment that it provides, self-adhesive labels provide, and the fact that a lot of the pharmaceutical products get exported, and there the requirement is to have a self-adhesive label. Now the industry trends in the self-adhesive label, despite all this, is that there are mergers and acquisitions that have happened. Now, what does the merger and acquisition actually show? That is what we are trying to look at. It brings in bigger purchasing power, newer capabilities for printers, newer ways of working, quality standards change dramatically, standard operating procedures come into place, and it makes the whole business highly competitive. With their vast experience in manufacturing these products, they bring in completely different set of working. You would be surprised to see that at number of places you must have seen in abroad, that the number of machines that we operate and the number of people we operate a single machine with, against that, you would have maybe one single person operating multiple machines. What is the per capita consumption? It's just 0.25 square meter per person. You compare that to world standards, it goes to that in US, it's about 15 square meters. 0.25 to 15. Now we have been speaking about change, we are talking about growth. I would like to know I would like to just look at it, that how do you look at it, that is the growth that is going to happen in the packaging industry. Labels come as a packaging product. In the packaging industry, with the retail segment coming in, what is it going to be? 10%? 15%? 20%? Or higher than that? From whatever we have seen in the past few years, for the last decade I would say, the packaging industry per se has grown around 15% growth. No, in general, between 10 to 15% growth is definitely there. It's higher than the GDP growth, and it's bound to be because a lot of our products were not packaged earlier. Now, when we look at the self-adhesive label market, and we say that it starts from the initial part of it being as 25.25 square meters or 25 million square meters per month, it would move to, per year, at a 10% growth, move on from 25 to 28 and so on, and after a period of 15 years, the volume would be 115 million. Now, each machine that is there, what is it capable of manufacturing? We have taken that into account and said that the difference that is there is 77 million square meters. In effect, it would require 513 machines in 15 years. That's about 34 machines per annum. To put matters in right perspective for the next slides that would come, most of the large manufacturers of machines in the self-adhesive business and self-adhesive labels, they manufacture to the tune of 200 to 250 machines per annum. Assume that to be a 15% growth, and it moves from 25 million square meters per month progressively to 234 million square meters. What does it show to? The difference to be 175 million. Number of machines required, 1165, and machines per year is 78. 20% growth, you start again from there, and you reach to a figure of 355 million additional, which is 158 machines per month. Any question? Yeah. So, when we look at it, the self-adhesive label market growth in 15 years is it starts, if it is at 10%, it will grow 4 times in 15 years. If it is at 15%, it will grow 7 times. And if it grows 20%, it will be 13 times. That is the key factor. And that factor applies not just to labels, but to the whole packaging industry. The difference in labels is that the number of players are lesser. But when you look at the packaging industry today itself, and you say that the growth would be maybe 10% or 15% or 20%, you would find that the market would grow in the same pattern. The question that I have today is, everyone seems to be asking or talking about growth. Growth is happening, growth is not happening. Till now, we look at growth as an opportunity. I put it across to you that it's not an opportunity. It's a challenge. How many of us are equipped to handle this growth? How many of us are thinking today that if my company is to grow from where it is, with a 15% growth to 7 times its size, from where am I going to get the capital? And as was being spoken earlier also in that thing about team building, how many of us actually are building the team? If we will not be investing on the machines, not be investing in the people, not treat them as team members, all we will have is more mergers and acquisitions. Let's not be surprised about it. What we do not see as an opportunity, and if we don't work towards the opportunity that is there arising out of the growth in our country, there will be people who will take advantage of it. The difference from the packaging to the self-adhesive business is the number of players that are there, as I said, is less. And the reason for that is that at the entry level, you do not have a possibility of canvassers entering into it. You have to buy your own machines, and those equipments can be pretty expensive. It has been said earlier, it has been looked at that self-adhesive label business is something it has got a lot of profit. It has. The label manufacturer has to make profit because he's got to invest that much more into the machines. The machine costs are more. The output for a self-adhesive label manufacturer is not as high as compared to what an offset press we can get. The variables that we can print in an offset, if you had an offset press, you could print on the same machines, commercial jobs, you could print packaging jobs, you could print a lot of different varieties, which is not going to be present in it. The availability of raw materials for offset printers, much easier. For self-adhesive material, much more different. The quality parameters that are there for a self-adhesive label, very different. So it's a field that is welcoming you, but you got to plan it. And you got to accept it that it's going to be a challenge. It's not a piece of cake waiting for us just for us to walk in and do it. It's got its own set of problems. And that is more or less what we have to accept. And what I had to talk about and tell you about is the growth in the label market. I have also taken you to the growth in the packaging industry. and just look at it from your own perspective. You will continue to be there. The question is, are we going to be at the same position that we are as recognized players of the industry, or we are going to be relegated to a lower spot? There is nothing that is dark as the screen is showing. Everything is perfectly bright. The opportunity is galore. We have to only decide where we want to take our company and how we want to lead our future. That's all. Thank you.